All right, all right. Hello, all you sports fans out there in podcast land, and welcome once again to another edition of Babbling Brooks, your new favorite podcast, where I, your host Brooks, try to bring you some of today's sports news with just a little twist from my point of view. Hope you're all having a splendiferous Saturday. Sorry I did not post an episode like I planned to yesterday. Just a combination of just not much to talk about because, there was preseason football, but it's preseason football pretty much. I mean, watching, it's hard to care about a preseason football game if your team is not playing because it's more about depth. You know what I mean? Especially the first game, you're not going to see pretty much any starters play. And it was cool that that the young quarterback doing really good for the Browns. I can't remember. I know it starts with a D. He's got two other initials, but you're not going to see much of him. And Zach Wilson starting for the Jets. What's Zach Wilson? We're not going to see him play unless Aaron Rodgers is hurt in the regular season. It's just the future of the Jets. Maybe he can have an opportunity to learn behind Aaron Rodgers. But it's just like I said, it's hard to care about the first preseason game. And it was great that there's football, NFL sort of action. But especially with the Hall of Fame game, like I said, it's the preseason. So you're definitely not going to see anybody. So there's that. I still was planning on talking, getting on, just kind of talking to y'all for a few. And then the Braves, of course, just like today, had the 2:20 game, and right about the time I would have been starting to talk, my Nana called me. And I got to talk to my Nana when my Nana calls me. So we talked for a while. I hadn't talked to her, probably once a month, we'll talk. So it was good speaking with my wonderful Nana. And that was the main reason, because if I hadn't talked to her for 30 minutes, I probably would have went ahead and did an episode. Who knows what I would have ended up talking about. Probably would have just wanged it a little bit. But ended up not really, just didn't happen. Like I said, there was no Braves game to talk about, so I didn't feel the pressure to really go in depth on anything. So I was like, you know what, we'll just chalk it up to a day off. And so I just took it easy after that. Went to work, of course. Glad I got to watch my Braves yesterday. It's kind of, because at work, at least until I leave in a week and a half, my job at the sports bar, it's kind of cool because I get to watch games, but I don't get to watch games for the most part. It's I watch bits and pieces of games. But when they have a day game, or when they have a game when I'm not working at either job, I can watch the whole thing, and that's great. Yesterday, they would actually get the game up on my laptop and just watch all of it, and it was a great game. I'm really glad I got to watch it. Really enjoyed seeing Max Fried and his magnificent return to the major league mound. He's kind of his rehab appearances had been it'd be good to see him get the pitches in, but nothing that made you go, wow. But that's the thing, Brian Snicker was saying, it's a whole different vibe, a whole different thing going on. And, these single A and triple A parks compared to major league fucking baseball. And really the thing too about rehab starts that gets missed a lot is it's not necessarily about the exact results. Numbers don't really fucking matter in those other than pitch count. And you want them to look like they know what they're doing, but a lot of it is just pretty much getting a comfort level, seeing getting your stuff ready, fine-tuning it before you make it up. And it was great. I think what really helped, Max mentioned it, and we've been talked about how slow they've been able to go with his return because of how damn good the pitching staff has been, despite a lot of patchwork, moving guys back and forth between Gwinnett and Atlanta. You still have 3 of the top 12 pitchers in ERA. Bryce Elder, of course, our best, and he struggled a little bit, but he's bounced back quite nicely. In most recent starts. And just getting Max Fried back at this point of the season is pretty much just a major trade where you didn't give anything up. Because, this was our best pitcher last year. Kyle Wright was the one that ended up with the most wins. But Max Fried, I would I think it's pretty easy to say he's the Braves ace. He's our number one guy, or he has been at least for the most part since he's became Max Fried that he is. And to get him back at this point of the year, I mean, this guy was competing for the Cy Young last year. He was in the running for that, and to get a player like that back at this time of year just shows why the Braves did not feel the need to do anything crazy on the trade deadline. If they didn't think they were getting Max Fried back, I think the Braves would have made a move, maybe like Vaughn Grissom gone kind of thing. But they didn't feel like it was worth what was being asked, especially because you got Max Fried coming back, and maybe we get Kyle Wright back in time for the playoffs. But it's just great knowing that right now this 4-man rotation and the 5th spot still up in the air. I did see Soroka got a start yesterday. And Gwinnett only gave up 1 run over, I think it was like 5 innings. So that's encouraging. Maybe I still believe we'll see him again. A lot of that, of course, depends on Yadi Chirinos, who looked good getting his first win with the Braves to end the last series. But Soroka, good to see him pitch well. But, having a Max Fried, Spencer Strider, Bryce Elder, who has been one of the biggest and best surprises of this season. And then Charlie Morton, the consummate veteran, who we're going to be steady. The dude that helped us win a World Series. Pitching an inning on a broken fucking leg. Came back for more. He wants to win another one. So, just great. I mean, what a great position to be in as a team. And Max Fried, like I said, it felt like there was no rush whatsoever. There's such a natural progression in his return to the field. And boy, was it beautiful. Everybody, of course, coming into this game, the Braves on pace to break the Major League Baseball home record for a team in a season. The Chicago Cubs, the hottest team in baseball offensively since the All-Star break. They came out off a series. The most recent 3 games, these Chicago Cubs had scored 41 total runs. 36 of those in 2 games. 2 games with 36 runs. So you come into this game, you're like, this is going to be an offensive show-off, an offensive display for the fans at the beautiful and amazing, the only non-Braves Major League Baseball park I have been to, Wrigley Field. It's a magical place. The one game there, I got to see the Cubs beat the Reds on a walk-off, and the crowd break into song. And I was thinking about this. I'm really glad I didn't go, as weird as it sounds, to see the Braves play there. I mean, I would like to eventually, but I'm glad that my first experience at Wrigley Field, I got to root for the home team. Because if the Braves are there, I'm obviously rooting for the Bravos. Los Bravos. You know this. But when it's anybody else, I can root for the home team, and that made it, I feel like, an even more magical experience. Not going to lie, I teared up just walking into Wrigley Field. Just as much as I care about history, been a baseball fan since I was a little one. So, yeah, it's a special place. So, it's also the place where Max Fried got his first Major League Baseball win. So, it's fitting that he returns to the mound here. And like I said, everybody expecting, even with, Max, as magnificent as he has been, you don't know what to expect. I did see after the fact that, Max himself and Brian Snitker both expressed some surprise over how sharp he was. It's just yeah, that would be good, but I don't know, that sharp. I think a lot of it, too, is just the way the Cubs are hitting. You expect this to be, from the start, the way the Braves start out scoring usually in the first inning, probably going to be an offensive, like I said, a showcase of some offense. Not the case from the first part of the game. Both pitchers in this case, you had Hendricks pitching for the Cubs. Both of these pitchers shut down the other team first time through the lineup. First 3 innings, totally perfect, both sides. Nobody's getting on base. Just a pitching, masterpiece looking like. But it didn't last. I mean, at least it didn't for the Cubs. But as for the Braves, Max Fried ends up going 6 innings in this one. 72 pitches, 49 of those strikes. Third win of the season. Only gave up 3 hits. And 2 of those were in the 6th inning. Like, he was just dominating. Like, they hadn't even really made any good contact or hit the ball hard until the 6th inning when they broke through and got 2 hits. And honestly, I think if he hadn't allowed those 2 hits in the 6th, he probably would have got a chance to pitch 7 innings. Like, I was sitting there looking like, oh man, if he gets this guy out. But then, of course, 2 singles. But still didn't allow nobody to score. Still didn't walk anybody in this game. 3 base runners, that's it. And the first one, he got out on the next play, gets the next guy to hit into a double play and pretty much just erased the first hit. Strikes out 8 in his 6 innings. A 0-8 walk to strikeout ratio in his first game back in 3 months. 3 months off. This dude did not look like that. It looked like Max Fried just being Max Fried. Like, you expect a little bit of stumble, a little bit of struggle after like a sustained stretch on the injured list like that. But not for Max Fried. I'm really glad I got to watch it instead of like work watch, because I was able to see just the way Max Fried was moving the ball. Like, he was putting it where he wanted to put the ball. Like, the ball was listening to him. Like, he looked in command all 6 innings, even when he gave up those singles. Like, kept it under control. So, I mean, just shutting out a team that literally, I know I already said this, but I got to say it again. Shutting out a team that just scored 41 runs in 3 games against a team that's pretty damn good in the Reds. So, you gotta love it. You got to fucking love it. Max Fried joining a team that is already the best team in baseball. The best team in baseball. Getting potentially its best pitcher for the final stretch. And he's got time to sort of get it totally right. Because, yeah, he's not going to be like this every game. I'm sure there will be some stumbles, some struggles. Baseball's that kind of game. But to come out the gate like that, set that kind of tone, makes you feel pretty damn good about the rest of this season. With those 4 pitchers, one of last year's competitors for the Cy Young, you got Spencer Strider, very well could win the Cy Young Award this year. The way he's striking guys out at like an unprecedented amount. The fastest of 200 strikeouts ever. And then you had this guy, Max Fried, who doesn't even walk one dude. You would expect at least 1 walk. You ain't pitched to major league batters in 3 months. 90 fucking days. And Max Fried's like, so the fuck what? Y'all ain't got nothing for me. And his first strikeout was of his former teammate Dansby Swanson, who had 3 homers in 2 games in the previous series. Did an amazing job for the Braves. A very big part, along with Freddie Freeman now with the Dodgers, of that Braves 2021 World Series. And it hurt seeing Dansby Swanson leave right after seeing Freddie Freeman leave. But Orlando Arcia, damn it, man, he's made it much easier to deal with. He, of course, had another beautiful, somehow managing to miss a tag moment at home plate, this time without sliding, but we'll get to all that. I just can't stop talking about this damn pitching, man. Max Fried. I said both pitchers were perfect. Heading into the 4th inning, Kyle Hendricks, he struggled against the Braves, but he was looking pretty good. First 9 Braves up, first 9 Braves down. But there's a thing, man, in baseball, sometimes that second time, especially the third time, a lot of times that second time through the lineup, some of these guys start to figure out the pitcher. Like, wait, we've seen this. We know how this story ends. We know what to do now. And that's just what's so great about this team. Coaching staff sets them up for success. So they're so damn good at just adjusting. They don't freak out. They're like, oh, we hadn't got a hit in 3 innings. That's fine. We'll figure it out. Because they just have that type of confidence. Somebody's going to come through at some point. And in the 4th inning, pretty much everybody came through for this Braves team, man. Like I said, Kyle Hendricks, feels pretty good about himself. Ronald Acuna comes up top of the fourth. Ends up being 3 for 5 in this game, Mr. Ronald Acuna Jr. Opens it up with a single. Ozzy Albies next up. His only hit of the game. He's 1 of 5 in this one. Moving Ronald over to third with a double. And Austin Riley grounds out, but still finds, manages to drive in. Ronald Acuna, 1-0. Just like that. After nothing happened first time through the lineup, the Braves already got one, and they got Ozzy right there ready to move over to. So what do you have next? Matt Awesome. Trying to think of Mike, make me think of that wrestler, Mike Awesome, R.I.P. From ECW, WCW, a little bit in WWE back in the day. He's pretty fun to watch. He was a fun wrestler. I remember him, off the top of my head, he was in like an ambulance match with somebody that was fun to watch. But anyway, Matt Olson gets an RBI double, one of those just perfectly placed balls, like right in the corner of the outfield. I love seeing my team hit the ball in the corner of the outfield because usually good things are going to happen for the offense in that case. And in this case, it's an RBI double just like that. 2-zip Braves. And they weren't done, y'all. They were not done whatsoever. What did the Braves do? For the third game in a row, that's right, back-to-back games. What do the Braves do? Back-to-back home runs. They've done that 16 times this season as a team. Talked the other day about it. Was Matt Olson, Austin Riley taking care of business in that capacity. And they, as teammates, have done it 6 times, which is a Braves record for 2 particular teammates. The same 2 doing it back-to-back. Different order sometimes, but still. But this time, Sean Murphy, who had been struggling since the All-Star break. He was coming into this game only 4 of 41 since the All-Star break. So he makes his 5th hit since the All-Star break, his 18th homer of the season. Sean Murphy's like, I'm back! 2-run shot, 4-0 just like that. And Marcell Ozuna, who outside that hot series was against the Brewers, I believe, where he went off for a couple days. Kind of quiet as well, last month or so. But still, every day, you got to Brian Snitker going to keep putting him out there because he knows that what Marcell can do. And Marcell just mashed one as the second half of this back-to-back homer set. Into the streets of Chicago. Bye-bye, birdie. There you go, Marcell. So just like that, the Braves are up 5-0 in a game where it said literally was perfect just a few minutes ago, and they're not done yet. Orlando Arcia gets a double. And then next up, Michael Harris, the second RBI single, and it looked for a second like maybe Orlando made the mistake running home, because for a second I was like, damn, I'm worried they might review this and be out. But he somehow avoids the tag again at home plate. Second game in a row, some Orlando magic on the base pass. And the first one was a great slide, like a little hook slide coming in to score. This time, surprisingly, did not slide, but just able to just dodge the tag. And it's 6-0 Braves. 6-run inning. But guess what? They still weren't done. Ronald Acuna Jr. up to bat for the second time in this 4th inning. What does Ronald Acuna Jr. do? The one thing he didn't do in the last game. Remember the last game Ronald played? He was a triple short of the cycle. So a little bit late, but still, he gets a triple. And he was thinking 3 bases from the start. It was great watching him as he went around the bases. And you could see him immediately, running out the box. He was telling Harris, go, dude, go. He's like, I am coming to third, so you better take your ass home. Right into the corner. You got to love them corner hits, because someone like Ronald Acuna Jr., somebody that fast, hits it into the corner, he's getting to third base, y'all. He ain't fucking around and finding out. He's getting there. So Ronald Acuna gets to score the first run of the game in the inning for the Braves and drives in the 7th run of the inning. Just like that, it's 7-0 Braves, and it's a whole other ball game. Totally different. I mean, you think about that, you go, it's like a pitcher's duel, out for out. Nobody has even gotten on base the first 18 hitters in this game. And just like that, top of the fourth inning, the Braves, just turn Wrigley Field into their own personal playground. And you gotta love it. You got to love it. Everybody eating and listen. Everybody, man. Excuse me. Quick drink of water. And literally, look at this. Every single Brave has a base hit in this game. Every single one. Oh, delicious agua. Ronald Acuna, the only one with multiple hits. He was 3 of 5. And just what a season, man. The only person you could argue is having a better season than Ronald Acuna Jr. is Shohei Ohtani. And that's because that dude is pitching like at a Cy Young level while leading the league in home runs. So Ronald's not pitching. He's doing damn near everything else. But he's kind of on a little lull still in bases, which I think is just because teams are focusing so much on him. Because they are just it's hard to do it all the time, especially when you hit the occasional home run or you hit a triple. You can't really steal a base. It's pretty hard to steal home. That's not quite as common as stealing all the other ones. But yeah, that's back-to-back 3-hit games for Acuna, which is not surprising. Remember I told y'all he had them back-to-back 0-hit games. You don't see that often from Ronald. And you definitely ain't going to see it 3 games in a row. So what a response to have back-to-back 3-hit games. 3 of 4, 3 of 5, and 5 runs in those 2 games. He only scored once in this one. So not as many times as the last one where he scored like all 4 times he got on base. But still, man, just what a performance. And he just gets in the guys' heads. And I feel like even when he's not stealing bases, just the fact that the pitcher has to think so much about him potentially stealing a base, they can't focus on the hitter. So that helps Ozzy out. That helps Austin out. That can help Matt out. It helps this whole damn team. And Michael Harris II knows any time, after he can hit, and look who he has coming up to drive him hopefully home. Beautiful thing, beautiful thing. And the Braves still weren't done. After their 4th inning, 11 Braves going to the bat, 7 runs, 6 extra base hits in 1 inning. And they didn't do much else the rest of the game, but damn it, they didn't really need to. Austin Riley in the 7th inning, he was kind of feeling left out. He didn't have a hit yet. So, 1 for 5, he makes the 1 count. Solo shot, number 26 on the season for Austin Riley. He's like, I don't like being tied with you, Ronald. I want another one. And just taking care of business. Just in case, let's add 1 more run to make it a good old crazy 8. 8-0 Braves. And that's what it would stay. Because the Braves bullpen picking up right where Max Fried left off. Coming in for him, you had a brand new Brave, Brad Hand, making his team debut. Allows 1 hit, but ain't nobody getting home. Gets a double play to get out of that. Joe Jimenez coming on. Perfect 8th inning. 2 strikeouts. Colin McHugh come up to finish it all. And this is a situation where, you're like, okay, Colin's probably going to give up a run. But nope, maintains the shutout. Good to see him have a solid inning. 1 walk, 1 strikeout, 17 pitches. Game over. Braves win. Bravo. Bravos, baby. Just what a game, man. This team in this game, 3 of 7 runners in scoring position. 3 2-out RBI. And, sending Kyle Hendricks to the loss. Rough outing for Kyle Hendricks. Especially considering how good it looked for him the first time through the lineup. The second time through, a whole other thing. And that's the thing, when you have an inning like that, you don't need to do much else. You can do all your scoring in 2 innings when you've got these pitchers, and then you've got, that kind. I'm not going to expect this to happen again. I think Bryce is going to have a good game today, but, you can't really expect that. This Cubs team is too damn good. I mean, that to me is just impressive. Shutting out a team. I know I said it, but I'm going to say it again. Shutting out a team that just scored 41 runs in the previous 3 games. And they're home. Maybe I would think probably a little bit of tiredness maybe factors in, but still, just to shut them totally out. Because the Cubs did have the night game the night before. Not like a super late night game, but still a night game. Can be tough. The Braves had a day off, making it like an easy kind of travel day. See what else. And the only Brave did not score in this game was Eddie Rosario. He still won a 4. So he still did pretty good. But, just everybody, just so spread out. Like literally everybody on the team except for Eddie scored exactly 1 run. So it's just like everybody contributing, man. You gotta love it. I know, that's my new slogan. And let's see, Brad Hand, blah, blah, blah. Dylan Lee is apparently starting his rehab trip today, so that's another little extra depth for this bullpen potentially. Dylan Lee, somebody that can sometimes throw you a couple innings, give you a little length in the bullpen, so that'll be a good addition. It's always good to have some depth, especially in a bullpen. And today, actually, it's a bullpen game for the Cubs, so it'll be Bryce Elder going up against the bullpen of the Chicago Cubs. So you would think that would give the Braves the advantage, but I've said that before, and we've lost bullpen games that other teams have pitched, and we've won bullpen games some ourselves. Not this year. This year, the bullpen games were not working out, and you got to, like Brad said, kind of adjusting on, let's try to stay away from those. Try not to do that. So it'll be, who is pitching? Starting the game for the Cubs is the rookie, Javier Assad. In his career, no, he's not a rookie, sorry. His second year, I guess, yeah, because he has 28 games played in his career, 19 this year. No, 19 is all, sorry. It's just throws it out. They have the projected shit throws it off. Yeah, he threw 50 innings this year, 87 in his career, and he's a reliever, so he started, 1 game this year. So we'll see how it goes. It should be, you would think the odds would be in the Braves' favor. Bryce Elder, had the nice bounce back game his last start. Get back to more normal rest kind of situation. So good chance for the Braves. Maybe they got the first team to 70 wins yesterday. We'll see what Bryce Elder can do. Been like I mentioned before, just what a great and pleasant surprise Bryce Elder has been. This Braves team could not be where they are without Bryce Elder. Of course, Spencer Strider, the other pitchers as well, but what Bryce Elder was leading the league in in ERA there for a minute. And people were like, where the hell did this guy even come from? Did not even start the season with the team in Atlanta. He started it out in, AAA. And there's been a lot of up and down and back and forth between Gwinnett and Atlanta this year. But once Bryce Elder came up to the team, he stuck around this year. Last year he had a couple starts. I remember, he did good in a couple, not so good in some others. You're going to have some rookie stuff. But this year, he's just not spectacular. He's not like Spencer where he's just bringing the heat, striking you down, striking you out. But he finds ways to get it done, take care of business. And, it's just what a great story. So we could not be where we are. 70 wins. We are 12 and a half games up on second place in our division. The division race is over. But, man, this team has won plenty of National League East titles. And they're nice. But on their own, they don't mean shit. They only matter if they're on the way to more. This team is World Series bound or bust. Like, if this team doesn't make the World Series, I don't want to say if they don't win the World Series it's a disappointment, but that's true. But it's definitely a disappointment if they don't make it. Because there's been a lot of times, they've won the division. Look at last year. Won the division. Looked really damn good coming back on the Mets. But ran out of gas. And the Phillies beat us as a wild card team. So we still got to worry about, the Phillies not in the division race. I mean, there's still enough games statistically where they could catch us. But, the Braves would have to suck it pretty hard for that to happen. So I feel like at this point, it's just like don't choke in the playoffs. So keep the rhythm, keep everybody feeling good, keep everybody healthy, figure out who the fifth starter is going to be, and, worry about the playoffs. You got to get there, obviously, first, but, we have, a 99% chance of making the playoffs, I would think. I don't see us not winning the division. Like we said, we would just have to be so bad. And one thing I think we have as an advantage to last year is the fact that we're not having to fight our way back. And I think that can potentially make a big difference, because I believe sometimes like a situation like last year when you fall into a deficit and you fight your way back, sometimes that can exhaust the team's energy. Just trying to get back in the race. When we got the division, it worked out fine when we did it the year before, but back-to-back years, it's tough to do that. So it's nice the Braves this year, they're like, they ain't fucking around. They ain't finding out. They're like, hey, let's just be good. Just be good all year. Let's just keep just win. Of course, this was 3 wins in a row for the Braves. They are now 33-17 on the road. They have less losses on the road than they do at home. They have more wins at home. They're 37-20. So 4 more wins, but also 3 more losses at home compared to away. Whereas most teams are at best going to be right around 500. When you look at second place, the Phillies, they're 31-30 on the road. 28-21 at home. 12.5 behind us. Despite winning 6 of the last 10. Because we've won 7 of the last 10. We've won 3 in a row. Tied for the second longest winning streak in the National League right now. The Dodgers on a 4-game winning streak. Ahead of the Giants, who are the other team in the National League with a 3-game winning streak. So which they need to do, because otherwise they'd be losing ground to the Dodgers. I'm still hoping the Padres. That's the California team I'm rooting for. They're 10 games back. Milwaukee's still a half game ahead of Cincinnati despite losing 7 of the last 10. Because Cincinnati has surprisingly lost 4 in a row. 3 of those, of course, were the Cubs. So, the Cubs were pretty damn hot, like Hansel for that series. So you can't hold it against them too bad. And, of course, the Cardinals still suck. They're pretty much done, trading Flaherty, some other guys. The Mets lost 4 in a row. They're 21 games back. Bye-bye, Birdie. They do have, the future could be bright, though. They got their own Acuna now. So they're going to try to use that against us. They're like, it worked out pretty good for the Braves. Let's get our own Acuna. Baltimore, still 2 games up on Tampa in the American League East. Both of them have won 6 of the last 10. Minnesota is still a half a game behind last place Yankees, the last place Yankees of the American League East, but they're still on top of the American League Central by 2.5 games because everyone in that division sucks. Except for the Royals. The Royals have won 7 in a row, 8 of their last 10. And despite that, they're still 21 games back. So that's how bad the Royals have been. You're having a rough year when you win 7 in a row and you're still 21 games out of first place in a terrible division. Terrible. Sorry, guys, but it's just true. Compared to any other division, the American League Central is definitely the worst division. Maybe they'll have a World Series winner in there, but hopefully not. Probably not. And in the American League West, the last division to talk about, Texas. The Texas battle still happening. You got the Rangers, 1.5 over the state mate Astros, and they're maintaining that. They've split their last 10 games, but they've won 4 in a row. So nice little stretch for them. Angels and the A's have both lost 4 in a row. The Mariners won 8 of the last 10 and 3 in a row. Here we go, Mariners. Only 6 games out. You can do it. So I want to see win the West. I want to see the Mariners in the playoffs, baby. Mariners, Braves, World Series. Or Orioles, Braves. Those are my 2 top choices for World Series I want to see. Just saying. And some of that, the Orioles seem, pretty likely, but it's going to be tough though, because it's one thing to do it in the regular season, especially with all these young guys. But the playoffs can be a little tougher sometimes. And so that's going to be all for baseball right now. Of course, like I said, Braves about an hour out as of me talking right now from Game 2. Try to go for the series win today, and then have just one more to worry about. Also a 2:20 game tomorrow. I'm going to try to do it an episode tonight and tomorrow night, so I can stay up to date on this Braves team. There's no days off for this team. They're in the middle of 14 straight days of baseball after having some days off. I kind of worked in there in the last couple of weeks, in addition to the All-Star break. See how that goes. The big story in sports I want to talk about before I go is college football is just wild, man. This time of year, not usually much going on in college football, Just getting ready for the season that starts here in a couple of weeks or a month. But shit's happening. The Pac-12 is just falling apart. It started, was it a few months back, the big surprise, USC and UCLA, both Los Angeles teams, leaving the Pac-12 to join the Big Ten next year. That was, pretty much in response. Of course, it's all about money. Someone's like, why is this happening? I'm like, money. Money, money, money. It's all about the dollar bills. Like, hey, the players make money. Well, we want more money, too. We have to make a certain amount more than them. And, yeah, so it started, Texas, Oklahoma, leaving the Big 12 to go, to the SEC. Oh, agua. And then the LA team's leaving, but you're like, okay, conference will still be fine. You have Colorado, doesn't like how things are going with the Pac-12 media deal. They go back to the Big 12, where they used to be. Everyone's like, who cares? Colorado sucked in the Pac-12. They didn't do shit as a Pac-12 team, but they just got a brand new coach. You may be familiar with him. His name is Coach Prime, Coach Deion Sanders. And if you haven't seen it, go on his Instagram. There's this speech where he's just like, just talking about not letting other people affect how you see yourself. I'm like, man. He's like, kids need to hear that. I'm like, he's like an adult. So I'm like, yes. Dude, I wish I would have known. I wish I would have heard that as a kid. Maybe I wouldn't have listened, but I just felt like I spent so much time, wasted so many years of my life giving a shit what other people think. And I still do sometimes. But I'm not saying you shouldn't care about other people. You should care about other people, but you should absolutely, positively never let other people determine how you feel about yourself. You feel good about yourself? Fuck everybody else. Fuck what they think about you. Don't let them weigh you down. And just we waste so much time. Think about how much of what we do as human beings, especially in this country, America, it's just a great place in a lot of ways. But just how much of what we do as humans, instead of doing what's best for us or what do I want to do. I'm not saying you should always do what you want to do, obviously. Duh. That's not the best way to do it either. But just so many decisions, so many things that we do in our lives just are based on how will this be perceived? What will they think of me? How will this affect my popularity? Fuck that high school bullshit. Fuck it. Fuck it hard. So that's a tangent, but I just really wanted to say that. So yeah, definitely follow Deion on Instagram, Coach Prime, sorry, and check that out. It was a beautiful fucking speech. I'm probably gonna watch it again. I think I'd love to have it as an album intro if I was making an album. But having said all that, the Pac-12 is going to have, as of now, 4 teams next year. And I just don't see any way for them to recover. Because the best you can do is bring in, Mountain West teams you got to pay, way too much to get them out of their contract with that conference. And You're not going to be. There's no way. Just no way for them to be a major conference going forward. When all you have is Oregon State, Washington State, Stanford, and California. And Stanford, California, yeah, like academically pretty damn good, but like when it comes to like TV money, that's not moving the needle really. Still, I had heard that there was some interest from the Big Ten, but not as much interest obviously there was in getting Oregon and Washington. Of course, a lot of people were saying, I saw one meme like, Oregon and Washington really might be regretting this when they're traveling like 5 hours to go play fucking Rutgers in New Jersey in the middle of the winter. So we'll see how they feel about it then. Because that's going to be a long-ass fucking flight for one shitty little game. You got to fly all the way across the country every other year. But the Big Ten's going to have 18 teams. I think the Big 12 and the SEC going to have 16. Because the Big 12 is like, shit, man. Everybody thought they were going to die a few years ago. And now they're finding ways to stay relevant. Not going to be as big as the SEC or the Big Ten. Those, to me, are just, without a doubt, the best two conferences. Even before all this, these were the best two conferences. So they're just going to get better. And, yeah, so what's going to happen, the Pac-12 looks like it's just done. The best they could do is try to, like, collaborate maybe with the ACC. But I think that would have worked before that many teams left. With only 4 teams, in the ACC, you're going to have, like, a 4-team, like, Western Division or something for the Coastal Conference. But something's going to happen with the ACC, too. Florida State talking about leaving, and though they'd have to spend a lot of money to get out of that. There's a lot of money involved, and maybe they're just trying to get a better revenue share. Because, they're a team that maybe the SEC, I could see the SEC trying to get Florida State, Miami, maybe Clemson. South Carolina team, make that South Carolina-Clemson on a conference rivalry. But the ACC's got a lot of money behind it, and especially when it comes to, like, ACC basketball, just the history they have gives them a little more, like, hopefully you would think security. But you would have thought that with the Pac-12. I mean, like, Bill Walton always called the Conference of Champions. But when UCLA and USC left, that was like, the beginning of the end. Because, like, that is, even those schools, they don't do quite as, like, dominate like they used to, like, historically. Like, just that television market in itself is just, like, next level, getting the LA TV market. So the Pac-12 looking like it's done, but just what's going to happen to those last 4 teams, they could totally have to restructure everything, You can survive, but you ain't going to be able to spend the same money. Because I wouldn't be surprised if Oregon State and Washington State probably going to end up in, like, the Mountain West or something. Because, I mean, you can't have a 4-team conference. And the only way they could stay alive would be to take teams from FCS or the Mountain West Conference or something. Like, unless they somehow collaborate with the ACC. But, like, I just don't see it being like a partnership when you only have 4 teams. The ACC, though, probably going to try to make some moves because they're going to try to keep up with the Big Ten, try to keep up with the SEC, try not to get left out. Because I wouldn't be surprised to see, like, over the next few years, eventually there's going to be, like, the 3 big conferences. Because we're down to 4 major conferences now as of next year. But, like, I feel like the Big 12 and the ACC, I mean, maybe they might have to collaborate to try to keep up with the SEC, to keep up with the Big 10. Because those are the big dogs, and they both of them adding huge programs. So I don't know. I still think there's a possibility because I was reading some like rumor stuff about how there has been talks behind the scenes about how much money it would take to fully fund like an independent conference pretty much and not be like affiliated with any of these. And the number was like $1 billion because you'd have to buy a lot of teams out of the rights deals. But, like, there's, like, no geographic, which the geographic stuff is going out the window. I mean, it used to be pretty set. Like, the Big 12 was, like, the Plains in Texas, that part of the the lower Midwest. And then the Big 10 was kind of like the upper Midwest / Mid-East with, like, Penn State and all that, Pac-12 was the West Coast, SEC, and the ACC, the East, Southeast, whatever. I mean, both used to be Southeast, really. ACC wasn't totally east till they added Syracuse, Boston College, like the northern schools, kind of. It was just Maryland to Florida. And now Maryland's in the Big Ten, which is really the only team the ACC has lost. They mostly have gained. like over the years, when they got like the Big East teams like Virginia Tech, Miami, and them. But like they're could potentially be in trouble if Florida State gets somebody else, offering them a spot. But I still think you got to watch out for the Saudis, man. I think the Saudis are going to try to find their way in there because you already know they don't care about spending money. They don't care about losing money because they got just so damn much money that they can just throw it at anything. It's all about power. It's all about influence. So they don't care short-term losing money. They want to run the world. I mean, y'all remember when Joe Biden said the Crown Prince was going to be a pariah because he was involved in the murder of that journalist who was an American, was living in America. I don't know if he was a citizen at the time, but was living here. The American journalist, pretty much, killed at an embassy. But you know what? You can't make him a pariah. You got to give him a fist bump because we need their money. We need their oil. Man, if you haven't, one last thing, really, you got to get on there and read this. This is a book called House of Bush, House of Saud, just showing all the crazy connections over the years between the Bushes and the royal family. This shit is wild. But it's true. Well-documented book. Check it out, though. I can't remember who wrote it off the top of my head. I honestly don't feel looking it up. It's called House of Bush, House of Saud. Read that shit. It's crazy. There's a lot of good stuff to read out there, man. You got to be discerning. And there's a lot of bullshit out too, but you got to know when to see. But there's a lot of crazy stuff going on. Either way, I really got to pee, so I'm gonna quit. I thought it was done like 15 minutes ago, and I just kind of kept talking. So I hope y'all enjoyed at least some of that. I thought it was pretty good. But hey, man, have a great day. Check back maybe later tonight, maybe tomorrow night. More Babbling Brooks on the way. Hope y'all have a great day. Peace out.